guys, here come the dollies. They got fresh sinkers, hot coffee, and the sweetest smile.
Pitz, P-I-T-Z.
And who are you?
And I am Josephine. Prefer being called Dodie Egan.
Welcome back to the Clubmobile, everybody. We're so happy to have you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
We are very excited to be digging back into our Wives of the Bloody Hundredth series this morning. Before we begin, this episode is being recorded with the permission of the Egan family. So
once again, very lucky to have that permission. And
yes.
Feel very honored.
Yes, we're very thankful to Katie and Annie for allowing us the opportunity to speak about their mother.
Yes.
So without further ado, this is the Josie Pitz Egan episode of the Wives of the Bloody Hundredth series.
Yeah,
I've been very excited to talk about Josie.
Yeah, I was about to say, we've been very excited to talk about Josie as a whole. I know we did our WASP series last year where we mentioned her kind of in passing. I feel like I wish we'd have had more time to do it, and I'm really happy we have found the time to dedicate a whole episode to her that is part of the series.
I wish we had had more information at the time as well, but I think that the information presented itself to us
very naturally.
It presented itself to us at a time when we needed it most, but it feels like it happened very organically, that we found what we were looking for. But
lots of digging,
lots of help. But I've been so excited to talk about her because to us, she was very unknown even after the end credits of Masters of the Air.
Yeah,
she was just John Egan's wife.
She was just labeled John Egan's wife, and I think it was right before we began the whole podcast. We were doing our weekly phone call. You're half asleep. I'm on my balcony, and I think you said something along the lines of, "I wonder what a WASP was. I'd love to know what that is," and that kind of helped spur this whole project along. And now we have definitely found out what a WASP was. And made so many friends through it that obviously that ended up being our Women's History Month series last year.
Yes.
So I'm really glad to do this again and have it be about Dodie and have it be about have it part of the series, because even though we were like, yeah, that little bit in this WASP episode is her part of the Bloody Hundredth, that it didn't feel fair. Because
we hadn't started the Bloody Hundredth series yet either, because we had kind of decided after the fact, like, wait a second. I think it was after speaking with Matt Mabe, he was like, well, did you know that, obviously we knew about Harry Crosby's wife, Jean. She's kind of portrayed as this entity off screen in the show, but we didn't know that Jean Crosby lived with Jerry Hamilton and Margaret Blakely. We didn't know that John Brady's fiance at the time was part of the Red Cross Motor Corps, that Dan Rosenthal's mother was in the Waves. We also didn't know that John Clark, his girlfriend Marie at the time, was flying in the WASP with Josie.
Yeah, I don't recall.
And I don't think they served in the same location. No, but I think they knew each other after the fact.
But Marie Mountain Clark began her training, and she saw the graduation of.
Yes, when she started, Josie was graduating. So it's very full circle to kind of find that so many of the men of the 100th had wives that picked up the task and just carried on.
And served their country.
And served their country with such distinction.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
Exactly. What more can you ask for? And I think a lot of it is, it shows how independent these women were and how much they were spurred on to serve their country. And
absolutely.
It's extremely admirable of them in a time where women were seen as just making babies and keeping house. These women decided to go against the grain. And I just think it's so cool. I will always be in awe of them. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I would love to go through Dodie's history.
She was born in Manitowoc, Wisconsin on March 30th, 1913. She grew up with her parents and her younger brother by 4 years, who also served in the war. He served in the Pacific Theater, her brother. Her father was an engineer, and between her father and her brother, the three of them really enjoyed sports. She mentions in the interview, obviously you saw a clip of the interview earlier, and if you're listening to this, I implore you to go watch the YouTube of this episode as well. She enjoyed sports, and every year her dad would take them, Josie and her brother, to a football game played at the university that was right near or in the vicinity of Manitowoc. And when asked if her mother would go with them, she replied, "Oh no."
No.
Oh
And
no.
It's the way she says it. It tickles me.
She's got that very Wisconsin way of speaking.
Oh no.
Oh no. As if to say, why would you even ask if my mother would go to a football game?
I believe she also played sports in college. When she eventually went to college, I believe she was part of some sports teams. She mentions it very briefly. It's written about very briefly on her Wikipedia that yes, she enjoyed watching sports and also playing, but it's never like described fully.
No, not in her younger years. I think she talks about it more in her later years, which obviously we'll get to.
For sure.
But she was a fan of sports, which is, something I don't think that you would find a woman in the 30s, right? She's in college in the 30s. A woman in that time to be into sports, but there she was.
Exactly.
She enjoyed football.
She also, not only with enjoying football, which is, again, it goes against the grain of, I think, women things now, she was also the only woman in her major class. She got a degree in chemistry and she went to the University of Wisconsin, and she was the only woman in the group.
She seems to be a woman of firsts, and
yes,
I'm just quickly going to back up there and say that she flew her first solo flight in 1929 at the age of 16.
She was very young.
She was very young. 16. And I think the reason she got into flying is that her uncle had an airplane. He wasn't a pilot. Yes. He worked on submarines. He built submarines.
He did, yeah.
For the war effort, for the Navy. But he had a plane. And he took her up for the first time.
Yes. And it made her very, very sick.
It made her very sick.
She got very sick.
But she decided she was going to do it again because if I'm the one flying, I won't be sick.
If someone else does it, I'm going to be sick. That also, again, the way she verbalizes it and says it really tickles me, because it's the way that she responds to it. Like, of course I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to make myself sick.
Of course I'm going to do it by myself.
Yeah, exactly. She was the first woman in her city of Wisconsin to receive a pilot's license.
She was. Earned her license in 1930.
Yeah.
And was the first woman in Manitowoc to hold a pilot's license.
Which is insane.
That's
crazy.
And when they asked her about what was so significant about her license, I love this. I went back and watched this bit in the interview probably 3 times just to see how excited she got when she mentioned it. But when asked what the significance of her license number was, she had stated that once a pilot's license, like once a commercial pilot's license or a private license number is given away, that's it. It's given away. Even if you're in Wisconsin and I'm in New York, it's not like, oh, that's the Wisconsin number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the New York. That's it. It's just a linear pilot's license number from top to bottom for the country.
Yeah.
And the significance when asked is that my pilot's license number is lower than Jackie Cochran's. So she was licensed to fly before Jackie Cochran. And she takes great pride in that. She took she took great pride in that. Oh yeah, my license number was lower than Jackie Cochran's. Oh yeah.
She's like practically like doing
giddy about it. Giddy about it. I loved that. I mean, she seemed very apt to do the interview that we've watched,
Yeah.
but she seemed to find her spark in doing the interview when they started to talk about flying.
Yeah.
And like not like, tell us
Yeah.
about your childhood, tell us about your brothers. What did you do in the winter? What did you do in the summer? She was like, we went ice skating. Yeah, we did this. Yeah, we did that. I mean, it was life in the 20s, right? Life in the 20s.
Yeah.
There's not much you could do. I mean,
there's not much you could have done. Exactly.
Once they asked her about flying,
that's when she
you could almost see her become a young woman again.
Yeah, it's very, very sweet to see.
Oh, it's so sweet.
I will say that as fascinating as finding out about her childhood was, you could tell that she was very much like, can we get to the point? Can we get to the flying? Can we
please talk about the P-47s? Thank you.
Can we talk about the WASP? Can we talk about training? And she's like, yeah, we did this and we did that and this happened. And then the moment she is asked about the WASP and flying and serving her country, it's like someone kicks a switch.
Yes.
And she's like, yes, I'm in. And yes, you can see her face light up.
Yeah. But she was always a very involved person. It sounds like she was, I mean, absolutely. Even when she went to college, she went to University of Wisconsin. She got her degree in chemistry and mathematics. She was a member of Alpha Omicron Pi sorority. I was not in Greek life, so don't ask me. AOP is how she... AOP is how she described it when they asked her what you did in college. She said, I was part of AOP. So I had to Google AOP to find out what it was.
Real quick segue. What is this?
Oh.
What's a sorority? Like, we don't, in England, we don't have these things. We just...
So there's sororities are for girls, fraternities are for boys.
Right, okay.
So they basically, now it's just considered Greek. It's Greek life. They call it Greek life. I always attributed it to, and back when Josie was in college, it was probably something extremely different. Yeah. And I know my mother was part of a sorority, but my mother was part of an educational sorority. Like she was just initiated into it, I think.
Got it. Okay.
Basically what these kids are doing in college. I almost joined a sorority in college. I changed my mind at the last minute. You have to rush, which is basically you pick a sorority that you think, oh, I might like these people. Okay. And by rushing, you go to their events and you network with them.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to wait to see if they give you a bid. So, yeah, we like you. You can join.
Oh, God.
Then there's the pledge season, which is where you basically pledge all your free time to this sorority. I basically attribute, and then you get initiated. You get a big sister. It's basically paying for friends. You have to pay dues. Like you have to pay dues.
You have to
every semester. You have to pay dues, and it was back when I was in college, which is now, God, long enough ago. We won't go there.
So many years.
So many years ago. It was a couple $100 every semester.
Yeah.
So twice a year.
Holy shit.
Twice a year. Just to wear the t-shirt with the cool letters.
Stop it.
I can get right. Like I can get behind it I joined the educational sorority, or I joined I joined this one. I was initiated into that one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Who wants to pay for friends?
Not me.
So that is basically what a sorority is now.
It would be different.
A lot of it is they haze these kids. They make them like, you basically become like the sorority sisters, and you're the pledge. You're their little bitch.
I don't like that.
Go get me a coffee, or like you have to be
do they all live together, like in a big house?
Not like you'd see in the movies.
Right, okay.
Believe it or not, down south, in the southern state, like Alabama, Louisiana,
Yeah,
sorority, Greek
for
life, they
sure.
might have houses like that. It's more of like this
More
culture.
like a community thing, yeah.
Up here, when I went to school, you'd get maybe like 10 guys that would get like say, oh, we're in Alpha Phi, we're gonna rent a house for the school year. And it was just 10 boys renting a house and they'd throw parties in the basement and it was dirty.
Yuck.
Or like the girls would be like, oh, 6 of us got an apartment, 4 of us are here, this and that, and we're all in this one building, but we're all splitting the.
Right.
And not even the girls' places were very clean. I mean, let's be honest.
No, I'm not surprised.
So sorority life now is not like sorority life was in the 30s. That's basically what it is.
Especially reading about Dodie's time
Yes.
in the sorority. It was very much like there was a tiny part of this booklet that I found by digging, and I found access to it, and it said that she was selling stuff. She was selling stuff to raise money for this cause that the sorority had put together.
They still do that now,
that
but it's like I almost feel like there's not really a lot of integrity behind it.
No, they labeled her a busy beaver, which really tickled me. I think it was Pitz is a busy beaver in this tiny article.
Yes.
In this huge booklet.
So I feel like sorority life for her was definitely
a lot
different
than what we've
definitely different than what I've
just
described.
Yeah, we don't have that in England.
Which
and
I'm glad I described it now
don't.
because I didn't realize that you guys don't have that in the UK. So now a lot of our British,
we don't.
now a lot of our overseas listeners, now you know.
Yeah. Now you're all educated along with me.
Now you know. Pay for your friends. In America, they pay for their friends.
Dodie joined the WASP on March 23rd, 1943. Prior to this, obviously, we have explained that she had a degree in chemistry and mathematics. She could not get a job in that field because she was a woman. So she worked at a secretarial school up until this point in 1940.
Which is what I feel like a lot of women did. They were secretaries. Yes, they were in the typing pool.
Yes.
But
I don't think many of them had the idea of I'm going to go serve my country in the capacity I can. A lot of them were sort of like, this is the job.
And this is very pre-war. This is like significantly on the end of the Depression, very pre-war. I mean, 1935. England isn't even in the war yet. Britain's not.
No. Britain's
not occupied. Britain's not in the war. Nobody is. This is not a thought yet to anybody in the States, at least.
Yep.
In the States, they're digging their way out of the Depression.
Yeah, she had all these years to be in this job and train as a secretary, and then suddenly in 43 she finds out that she can do the thing that she loves and serve her country at the same time. And so she joins the WASP in March of 43. This is around the time in the interview that we have described where she really, really lights up.
She seems to remember everything very clearly too about her time in the WASP.
Yeah.
And she did really enjoy her time at Sweetwater, at Avenger Field. And talks about like everything that she did there, that she enjoyed the mathematics and the physics ground school classes, that she would go to the officers club. She'd go to the officers club and, I met some boys.
Of course she did.
She says in one bit that, while I was there, I made myself a dress. And I think it might have been the interviewer who said, well, what were you going to do? The interviewer goes, well, what are you going to do with it? I was going to wear it.
Wear it.
Very straight to the point. I was going to wear it.
To wear it. Like, come on. What else is I going to do with a dress? She was in class 43W5, and they used the W to indicate that it was the WASP, whereas the male side of flying school, it was just the numbers. It was the year and the number. So to differentiate, they would put the W in there. I found out through going through her file, which we were lucky enough to get from our friend Cara. She was paid $3,000 per annum. I assume that means per year, correct?
Per annum, yes. So per year.
Yep. And today that would be 56,000. I had to do the conversion because we always do this. When we talk about money in the 40s, we always say,
I thought maybe I missed it and the conversion was in the file or like in a note from Cara. but you did the conversion.
No, I Googled it. No,
Okay.
I had to. The second I read it, it said 3,000.
And you said Gab's going to sit there like a dingbat and try to do the conversion.
No, I also do it. I think there's been like 3 or 4 episodes where we have done this, where we're like, this person earned $20 in 1942. And we're like, how many dollars is it now? The amount of times I've had to like cut things out where we have gone on for 10 minutes, like, how much is this? So I thought I'd just save us the trouble.
Wonderful.
And put it in the episode notes for us.
Great. So she made $3,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And graduated on September 11th of 1943.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Prior to her graduation, though, she went through the full lineup of training. So there was basic trainers, the advanced trainers, the pursuits, and they would the instructors would fly with you, and then eventually you would have to solo.
Yeah.
And she comes right out with it, and it's like the statute of limitations has passed at this point for her to not get in trouble for this, but she's like, I soloed when I shouldn't have done it.
I did it for 2 hours at a P-47 and came back in.
Basically, it's a 2-hour mark to do your solo flight. And she said she took a P-47 out and she was just out. Over 2 hours, wasn't watching her watch, like wasn't paying attention to the clock. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are planes now, they don't have a clock in them. Maybe she was wearing a watch, maybe she wasn't. But she said she took that P-47 out and then came back.
She soloed when
and I wasn't watching.
And she's like, okay, cool. She's very cheeky.
She
is very fun to watch. I remember all of these things, and to sort of the memories come back as she's asked all these questions.
Oh yes,
she's so fresh with it. Like especially I took the P-47 for 2 hours and I shouldn't have, or when she's asked about the dress, like, what else was I going to do with a dress? I was going to wear it. What else am I going to do? She mentions that Jackie gives the wings out to the graduates, so even if she hadn't have met her prior, she would have met her at that point. But I believe she did. She was also interviewed the same as everybody else.
She had to have been. She couldn't recall being interviewed or not, but I would imagine she had to have been interviewed at
everyone else was.
Everyone else that we've spoken about or read about has been interviewed.
Yeah, it's never mentioned and it's never really written about. So we are gonna safely assume that she was the same as her, especially at this early stage, because she's only in the 5th group of
ever.
So we're gonna naturally assume that. She was told in terms of being given bases,
right, where you want to be stationed.
Request what you don't want and you'll get what you want. Did she request Wilmington?
She didn't say, but she said, I was very happy to be on the original base in Wilmington, Delaware. And by original base, we mean Nancy Love, not Jackie Cochran. That's where the Women's Air Force flying detachment was, which was eventually merged with the WASP. That's where Nancy and Jackie were split.
Yeah. They were like merged into one entity,
and eventually those girls became, I mean, they were the WASP, but they were technically the WAFs, the Women's Air Force Ferrying Squad under Nancy Love. So Josie reported directly to Betty Gillis.
Yes, she did. She mentions it very quickly in the she mentions
it very quickly, and she mentions that she liked Betty, that there was no animosity between the WAFs and the WASP, that it was just we're all here to do the same thing.
Which I find very admirable, because you would think a bunch of women, there's going to be some kind of rivalries. And I know that when we read Spitfires, we noticed that the American women in the ATAs, that there was a couple of them where they had it sort of bordered on a friendly rivalry, but sometimes it did not seem friendly. So you would expect that kind of a thing. So for her to mention that there was nothing of that sort and there was no animosity, they were all there to do the same job.
On that note, she says about Nancy Love that Nancy was just doing her job. Nancy had a job to do, and in terms of the split between Nancy and Jackie and the rivalry between Nancy and Jackie, that Nancy was just there to do her job. She had a squadron of women to look after, and she did it with grace.
She did her job.
No matter what she felt about Jackie, she did it with grace.
Yeah. I'm kind of beginning to think that the feud, quote unquote, was possibly one-sided, and it is always written about one-sided.
It really is. Like, seems to be written about as a one-sided feud. The
things that we have read about Nancy is that she rarely mentions anything to do with the other side of this.
No.
Have you seen the Ryan Murphy series Feud? Like, there was a Betty Davis
between Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. I haven't seen it. I've seen clips of it.
Get Ryan Murphy on the phone and get him to do a Jackie Cochran and Nancy Love, and I want our friend Nancy Hasty on TV as Jackie Cochran.
That would be brilliant. Done. So post graduation from the WASP, she was stationed at the Newcastle Army Air Base in Delaware, and that was as of September 21st. So she had a 10-day gap between graduation.
Very quick turnaround.
Very quick turnaround. But they were cranking classes out of Avenger Field very, very quickly.
They had to.
So she states, Josie, that she flew the route from Newark, New Jersey to Long Island, New York. So that was basically Newark Airport to Long Island, New York. And she handled the ferrying of 100% of the P-47s that went between that route.
As someone who is familiar with both areas, how far is that?
In a plane, not far.
Like the zip of a trip.
It's not far.
Up and down.
Between New York and Long Island. No.
Yeah.
It's really not. She talks about one time ferrying a plane to a place in New Jersey called Mawa. And the way she pronounces it, Mawa. And she goes, who had ever heard of a place? And then she remembers like this one place very clearly. Who had ever heard of a place called Mawa? And I'm sitting here going, oh,
no, I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. I know it. I know of it very well.
So because it's such a short distance.
It's a short distance, and she had mentioned that they would do it multiple times a day. Sometimes they would take 6 ferry jobs a day. Sometimes they'd only have 1.
That's crazy.
And I mean, sometimes they would be sent out to other places, I would imagine. But that was her primary route. That was her, like her base. That was where she would come in and out of. And the interviewer had asked her, like, well, how did you get back? After you ferried the plane and you dropped it off, how did you get back? She's like, oh, we'd take airfare back. And they're like, well, how would you? She goes, oh, we could bump people to get on a plane to go back.
Like, get them, yeah.
Right. Because we had a job to do. Like, maybe we'd have to drop off a plane, turn around and go back, get another plane. We could bump somebody because we had a plane waiting for us to take it back.
Yeah, at the opposite base. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it really cool that she could have done that multiple times a day.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
it's not a long flight. Around. It's not.
No,
it's not.
Which means that a lot of things were getting done.
In the car, it feels like a really long time to go from Jersey to Long Island. Yeah. But in a plane,
not so much.
It's a hop, skip, and hop, skip, and a jump.
Hop, skip, and a jump. I want to talk about this quote that we have written down where her plane caught on fire. Little girl, you better get out of that plane. It's on fire. And she just still in there, sort of turning everything off.
She was ferrying a P-47.
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe that's what she says. Yeah.
She said the engine was coughing.
Oh yeah.
And she tried to turn it back, coughed again, and she called in for a landing.
Yes.
There was something wrong, and to me, all right, she passed in 2006.
Correct.
She very clearly remembers the designated letter number combination for the runway that she came back in on. Mm-hmm. And she says, they told me to take this one. And I said, no, I want this one because it's longer and I might need the longer runway. She remembers it in that moment so clearly.
So clearly.
And I remember when we spoke to Katie Egan, this was probably a year ago at this point. Yeah, Katie had mentioned that Josie was not very tall, so she would stack parachutes and she'd sit on them to see over. She was little. And that when she was in this P-47 that she finally brought down onto the runway, she said that the ambulances, the fire department, everybody came rushing down. And the fireman looked up at her and she was trying to get like the log and all of this stuff to take it out of the plane.
Yeah.
And she didn't realize that the engine was spouting flames up
Yeah.
over where her head was. And the fireman yelled to her, "Little girl, you better get out of that plane. It's on fire."
Yeah.
And it didn't phase her. She's like, "Okay, get the next
It's like, okay,
P-47.
cool.
Okay, let me
I'll
get out of
get
here, get my
I
stuff,
guess.
and get in the next P-47 and take it." She flew so many different planes.
She did. She flew the P-39, P-40, P-47, and the P-51.
She flew
And
the
then
P-51
after,
Mustang. I mean, my God.
amazing. And then after she had completed her time at Newcastle Army Air Base, she was then moved to Rosencrantz Field in St. Joseph, Missouri, where she flew the C-49G, the C-49E, the C-47A, and the C-49H. So she flew everything.
So she
Which is like,
basically went from single engine fighters to two engine, not bombers, but two engine transport, because the C-47
yeah,
was more of a
correct.
transport plane.
Yeah. So
That's
she
what
flew
the
bigger and
the
bigger
sky train.
planes.
That's what the men jumped out of, the paratroopers. So
Yeah,
she
it's
went
a
from
big
single
plane
engine
too.
to twin engines, which is still impressive.
Still so impressive. And she flew all of these aircraft and it did not phase her. And it's like to the point where obviously we found out at the beginning of researching the WASP as a whole was that they were literally given a manual on the
Yeah.
ground, told to make some takeoffs and landings. And if the
Yeah.
plane
Take it up and
flew,
down a
it's
couple
off you
times and then
go.
you're good.
See ya. Thanks for learning how to fly this plane within 20 minutes. Couldn't be me. I know that we say, could I do this? No.
This, I
This
don't know.
specifically,
You
no
say a
thank
lot
you.
of times you want to go and learn how to fly.
I would love to learn how to fly.
And I think about it. I'm like, could be fun until you have to like roll the plane upside down. And here I am going, I don't even like to go upside down on a roller coaster.
I really like it, but I will avoid it if I can. I'm like, yeah, this is great after I've done it. But beforehand, I'm like, no, thank
Not for
you.
me. Not for
Absolutely
me.
no. I would love to learn how to fly, but I'm not very good in a car. So do with that what you will. Should I really learn to fly a plane if I can't drive? She flew so many aircraft, and she actually lists them all off so easily.
Oh, yeah.
And what was it that Katie said to us when we first spoke to her like a year and a little bit ago? My mum flew.
My mother flew fighters and my father flew bombers.
One of the first things she said. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Such a.
My mother flew fighters and my father flew bombers. And it's just such a.
How cool is that?
That's so cool to say that, right?
It's excellent.
It is.
So
she did all of this, all these different fighters and twin engines until the WASP was disbanded in December of 1944.
Yes. This is when it gets a bit murky in terms of like discharges and papers and things like that. So
but that's
discharge
not
papers were
that's like a WASP thing. I feel like
yeah,
it was all very murky.
It's all very murky. Discharge papers were given in December of 44, but Dodie and none of the other WASP were officially discharged until militarization happened in the 70s. So Dodie was not given an official DD-214 until May of 79.
I think that has to do with the fact that they didn't consider the women part of the military. So why officially discharge them? Why officially discharge them? But at the end of the day, it turns out that when they were disbanded, they all received certificates that said that they were discharged from the U.S. Army Air Force.
Mm-hmm. It gets a little bit murky.
It gets a little bit murky. It does.
Gets a bit odd.
She was awarded the Victory Medal, the World War II Honorable Service Lapel Pin, and American Campaign Medal for her time in the WASP. Yeah. And when she was asked about her opinion of WASP director Jackie Cochran, she stated, they said, "What's your opinion of Jackie Cochran?" She said, "Not very good. It was always me, 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 and she would step over anybody to get what she wanted." Which then led into her description of Nancy Love was just doing her job.
Yes. I love how she pulled no punches when asked about.
First of all, at that age, right? Are you gonna? Probably not. Probably not. But also she never seemed like the type to hold back.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't seem like
she knew she had a voice, and she knew she had a voice, and she used it.
She used it.
which is what I find the most admirable.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that on our past episodes about Jackie Cochran that we have found sympathy and, of course, respect for her. But it's always the differing opinions that get me on Jackie.
Yes.
Some people are like, she was amazing, she paved the way. And then we have people like Dodie saying, what way did she pave? She took it away from me.
She opened a lot of, and I say this all the time, she closed as many doors as she opened.
She opened them for herself, but closed them for everybody else. And that's something I struggle to contend with. It's something I kind of struggle to.
Yeah.
I understand her.
I will always feel like she is the reason. She is the reason those women were never militarized in the 40s.
I agree. And she didn't fight for them.
She didn't fight hard enough for her girls.
She opened the door for herself. And I somehow respect that part of Jackie Cochran, is that she paved the way for the future. She did not pave the way for what was currently behind her.
Correct.
The thing that she fought so hard to be in charge of, like to the point of leaving these American girls with the ATA in England, to the point of leaving them to be in charge, only then, a year and change later, to then say, actually, no, you are women, return to your homes, return to your husband. And then
that's the bit that gets me. She got everything. Hap Arnold gave her what she wanted, sent her into England, sent her to the ATA. The minute she saw him give the same thing to somebody in the States, she came flying home crying that it was me, why didn't you give it to me? And it was very much, I gave it to you over there. But
it's difficult. It's such a difficult topic. There's so many sides to it, as we have since explored.
There are,
but
I guess it depends on not who you were, but it depends on what you saw of her during your time in the WASP. I'm sure that everybody had a different vision. Everybody had a different interaction with her, and Josie's was not very favorable.
That's just how it happened to be back then. I think.
That is,
so many people and so many women coming through, and you're gonna get someone on a bad day. But I don't. It's a common theme I'm seeing. It's a common.
It is.
So I loved how she did not pull any punches in terms of that. I'm so excited to get into this next part because it's my favorite.
After the war, she was planning on going to Kansas City after the war, and she was sought after by TWA, which is obviously no longer functioning airline, but she was sought after by TWA. They had a WASP procurement bureau. And she says, but instead I got married.
And who did she marry? Dodie and John Egan had known each other in high school.
They did. They were acquaintances in high school.
I believe so. Yeah, I think Dodie knew John's sister a little bit more than she knew John.
Yeah, she knew his sister.
And they during the war they had written to each other while Bucky.
Yes, she had found out from his sister that he was a POW, so she wrote to him.
Yes,
and he wrote back to her, and he wrote back to her that he was in awe of what she was doing. He admired her and thought that her flying with the WASP and taking up the war effort was admirable.
Yeah.
And that he was very happy for her.
It's a very sweet interaction that there are so many things I wish would have been left in the show that I wish would have been brought forward a bit more, because you see in Callum Turner's portrayal of Bucky that he's very lonesome and he's not getting mail. He's not getting mail. He's extremely worried that he's going to lose his best friend after they go home, because Buck is, of course, now engaged to
Marjorie Spencer. Yeah.
So it
seems... I think would have been nice to see this, but I also understand how playing it the way they did on screen lends to the dramatic effect.
Yeah, of course.
But now that we know that it wasn't actually that Bucky wasn't actually,
he wasn't
that despondent, maybe not that despondent, but obviously depressed because you're in the Stalag and you're there, but
Yeah,
maybe not that
yeah.
despondent. You were getting mail. It's nice to know that there was a connection there
It's
at the
nice to know
time.
that, and
There was an
that it
appreciation for
was
each other
his.
and an admiration for each other in a professional way first.
Yeah, and it just happened to be his future wife.
Yeah.
They ended up meeting up again after he had returned home from
Yes.
the POW camp. They met up at a bar.
She had been out with a friend, right? She'd been out with a friend at the movies and they stopped into the Hotel Manitowoc for a drink at the bar.
Real quick, this is the part I love of the interview because she then talks about herself in the third person.
Oh, yes.
She says that my friend and Dodie, she points to herself, went to a movie show.
Right.
And we went for a drink.
We stopped in for a drink. She makes a point of saying that the Hotel Manitowoc never said that a woman couldn't sit at the bar and have a drink.
Yeah.
It was a small,
alcohol.
She says it of alcohol. It was a small town. She says this early on. It was a small town. Everybody knew each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So she goes to the bar with her friend.
Yeah.
And she sees a table with two girls. She says it was two gals and a guy. Mm-hmm. And it was John Egan and his sister and one of their friends. Yep. And he leaned over to his sister and said, "Who is that?" And his sister said, "That's Joe Pitz."
Yep.
And she looked at him. And if anybody has ever perused the 100th Bomb Group's website, the foundation's website, there's a photo of John Egan in a trench coat with a very Inspector Gadget kind of mustache, very long handlebar type mustache.
It's the way when she describes it, she kind of twirls her fingers a little bit and does, "Oh, he had a mustache." And I looked at him and went, "Oh no." She was not a fan of his mustache. What is it that she says? How to make friends and influence people. Yeah. How to make friends and influence people. Yeah, it speaks to how they were.
It does. It speaks to how they were.
They shared.
And
they got married in 45.
Yeah, she says that at that point they played golf every day together before getting married. Weather permitting, they played golf every day together. And that one of the reasons they fell in love is because she called him Johnny.
Johnny, yeah.
Because when she saw the mustache, she goes, "That was Johnny." One of the reasons they fell in love is because he said, "There isn't anybody here who can talk the language." And that was in reference to their shared love of flying and knowledge of planes. They had this common denominator.
Yeah.
And they built their friendship and their relationship from that.
Yeah. I find it so...
I just find it so romantic.
Sweet. Yeah, there was probably no one else around that could speak about the experiences that they had both.
That he didn't serve with, right? Nobody that was...
Right.
Maybe another woman that wouldn't understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And he just happens to...
For him, wouldn't understand. That's not to say that any other woman, is so... But for John, this was the woman that understood. For John Egan, this was the one. She understood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she said they had a formal wedding. Yeah. Which is so sweet. And then they honeymooned in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin and went skiing. And she said they were both very bad at it.
Very bad at it. No, I think she says they're both very bad at it, but she fell goes down the hill. She wiped out, and there's Johnny behind her, not even going down the hill because he can't ski. So he's just, which really tickled me because she is laughing at him. And then she says she has returned since and she hasn't found the hill that they apparently skied down. So I don't know what happened there. But she does it. She's brave enough to just say, "All right, I'm gonna go." And she wipes out and she falls and she looks up, and behind her up the hill, he's still there.
He's still there.
He's like, "No, I'm not doing that because I can't do it." Which I feel like they shared such a fun relationship, and it was so humorous. So humorous that they must have been laughing the whole time because Bucky seemed like a funny guy. And then watching this interview with her, I spent most of it cackling because she's just so sharp and she just gets you.
She does.
Yeah,
she traveled everywhere with him though.
Yeah,
Because he was still in the Air Force, and wherever he was
Yeah.
stationed, she went.
She went. She
Japan,
then became
Hawaii,
an
or an Air Force
wife.
wife.
Yeah. Japan, Hawaii. She preferred Japan because she doesn't like being hot. Didn't like being sweaty. Right,
No.
I get that.
And she said that was it in Japan on the base? She'd go out and buy fabric, and they had a seamstress on call and would make items and clothes for her and
the kids.
the girls.
Yeah. There's a really great picture of them. I believe it's on the 100th Bomb Group database.
It is.
And it's all of them in kimonos.
I think it's the sweetest.
And they're all making I say they're all making a silly face. I think John's at the front making the silly face, and everyone behind him is smiling because, of course. It's a really sweet picture. It's one of my favorites, I think, that we have found. And they're all dressed in matching kimonos. It's very, very sweet.
It is.
And then, very unfortunately, in 1961, John Egan passes away while they're stationed in DC.
He was at the Pentagon at that point.
Yeah.
And
he passes
she
away.
said that his passing was unexpected, like a shock.
I would imagine so. I mean, of course, back then everyone wasn't very health conscious. Everyone smoked, everyone drank. But yes, it's still a shock for your spouse to die.
Yeah.
It's still like, obviously. And of course, it's very unexpected because you don't wake up and expect, oh, hey, here's what's going to happen today.
Yeah.
So very unfortunately, in 1961, John passes away while he is stationed in DC. He's working at the Pentagon. And of course, very, very, very unexpected. Before that, again, they lived in Japan, Hawaii. Another really, really cool thing about Dodie is that post the WASP in 1949, she joined the Air Force Reserves. And we have an excellent picture of Dodie being sworn into the reserves by her husband, John Egan. It's a very sweet picture. I love it. It's
a very lovely picture. It's the back of the photo that gets me because it was sent to us by Katie Egan, and then we digitized it and we sent the physicals back, obviously.
Yeah.
On the back of the picture, it says, "Mama being sworn into the reserves by Daddy."
By Daddy. It's so, and John has this cute little card on his desk.
He just looks very happy, obviously, and very honored to be swearing in his wife. Yeah. And in the corner of the picture on his desk is a model B-17.
Because of course,
if you're John Egan, you have a model B-17 on your desk.
Of course you do. I think when we first looked at that picture, we were like, is he trying not to giggle? And you can see her also trying not to giggle a little bit, because they both look so happy.
It's really, really pretty.
Doing it. It's beautiful. I love it. It's one of my favorites that we got sent. So then Dodie is discharged from the reserves in 1956. And this is something as mundane as she didn't promote twice. It's still an honorable discharge.
Yes, and retired as a first lieutenant.
I assume they just asked her to leave because she did not promote twice. So
possibly.
Like, cool. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because surely, anyway, yes, she retires as a first lieutenant.
Now, she stayed in DC with the girls after John passed away.
Yes,
she worked at WASP headquarters during the during the push for militarization. She was there. She's in photos in Congress. Correct. With the other WASP.
I love
those pictures.
She's in this gorgeous blouse with a little ribbon on it, and she's looking at someone talking, and she looks like she just means business. She's very serious.
She does.
She's very serious.
She does.
She's like,
she stayed in DC for a very long time. And I think they stayed until the girls moved. Until Annie and Katie moved. And then Josie followed them to Denver.
Correct. Yeah, this is a little bit later after her.
Much later in life. Her girls have, now she's got grandkids. She's followed them out to Denver. And she took up skiing at age 80, I think. Katie had mentioned she took up skiing.
Tennis. Love tennis. Line dancing. That
Oh,
was fun to
yes.
learn about. Took
And
up
she
line
visited
dancing.
Antarctica, what, 6 times to visit the penguins?
9 times. 9.
To visit the
9
penguins.
times to visit the penguins.
And this goes back to she preferred Japan over Hawaii because she didn't like being hot. She says, this is why I go to Antarctica every year and nobody will go with me.
No one go with me because it's too
cold for them, but she likes it.
Before we get to the end, I really want to read some of the excerpts I found from, it's called the Fifinelli Gazette. And it was a newsletter that the WASP veterans had put together, and they would write in their, they'd write in the updates on their life. And I want to read some of my favorites. The dates are a little bit murky. Yeah, but I think we can get a general gist. Skiing is the height of my life. Flew to Interlaken, Switzerland for 2 weeks skiing in March. Home for 13 days, then off to Vail, Colorado for 2 more weeks of skiing. Spent a week in Denver with my oldest daughter and my 5-month-old grandchild, a darling girl, and playing lots of tennis to keep the knees in shape for skiing, because at my age I figured time is running out. We'll be off for a 2 weeks Alaskan cruise in December. And then it moves on to, this is a later issue. My life isn't very exciting to anyone but me. Have been a widow for 13 years, so fill my time with tennis. Captain of the Army Navy Country Club C team, and go skiing whenever possible. Rest of the time is spent on yard work, bridge, sewing, and various handwork. So she carries on playing tennis. She mentions where she's located. I go skiing in winter, then go visit my 2 gals who are now located in Colorado. My son-in-law is a pilot there on a KC-135. She visits all of her WASP friends. She goes on holiday, describes herself as a tennis bum. My game seems to improve with age. So she gets better and better. Another excerpt is Josephine Pitz lives in McLean, VA, and has been working with WASP headquarters trying to push the vet status bill. She'll be taking her 2 daughters with her next year on a 2-week trip to Austria and Switzerland. Doesn't that sound interesting? There's one where she takes her girls on safari for 2 weeks. She never stopped, this woman.
She never stopped.
She never stopped.
Something I loved about the end of the interview is they asked her why she thinks she succeeded doing something that no woman had ever done before. And she said, because I wanted to. So that really sits heavy with me in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people who maybe are hesitant to get off the sidelines and start something that they're really interested in, or are nervous that they might start something and not succeed the way they want to succeed.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to succeed is the reason she succeeded. And I think that we can all take something away from that and from Dodie's mindset, because what a way to go through your life. I want it. I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it because I want to.
They asked if she'd give any advice to her grandchildren and future generations to encourage them to excel. She said, just go for it. Whatever it is, go for it.
Something so simple.
Something so simple
can have such an effect.
Can impact so heavily in such a positive way. I don't think at the time in the 30s, in the 40s, she knew she was making history. She just knew the war effort needed her, and she was there.
Yes. She even kind of briefly mentions it in this interview where, again, it's towards the end where they say, do you think that things like this should be in history books and kids should be taught it? And she says, are they not? Who put
the kibosh on that?
On that.
And to her, she's got books in her personal library where they do talk about the WASP. Yeah. So why do I have these books in my library, and why aren't kids learning about it in school?
Yeah, absolutely.
It should be taught.
Why am I not being mentioned?
This should be taught.
And it's not, speaking as a mother who is teaching her children, everything about this because I never stopped talking about it. It's not a crazy thing to teach them. It's not insane. It's not like, oh my God, this is so difficult. There are children's books about it. There are ways you can teach them. It's like to the point where they see a picture on my phone of the wasp and they're like, oh, it's Mama's friends, because they think we're all friends. That's how easy it is
in a time where a dream can be easily crushed. I think it's so important that kids, especially little girls, because especially little girls, but kids in general should know that there was a time when people stepped up.
Yeah.
People just did what was asked of them. They didn't question it. And it turned out that what was a passion for some of these women became a career, became a life-changing moment. And that if you have a passion as a kid, follow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chase it. Just go for it, right? Whatever it is, just go for it.
Yeah. She lived such an excellent life, all this skiing and visiting the penguins, and she played a lot of tennis. Dodie passed away on April 13th, 2006, and she was 93. She's buried at Arlington National Cemetery with her husband, John. So they are together. I love that they are together. And of course, John's name says his rank and World War II, and Dodie's says WASP underneath hers. In a time when women were told to stay home and to not fulfill their duty.
Their headstone has both of their ranks, both of their wings.
Yep.
Which is so incredibly beautiful.
Absolutely.
So, in a time where
what a life.
Just go for it, guys.
Yeah.
Take Dodie's advice. Just go for it.
We did, and we're having a smashing time. We did it.
We did.
We're having a great time.
We are having a grand old time.
We get to talk about the people that essentially told us to do it.
Yeah.
Just because we want to. To finish, we would really like to thank the Baylor University Institute for Oral History for letting us use this interview in excerpts during the episode. We'd also like to thank Cara, our friend, for helping us research through files and reports.
Matt Mabe at the 100th Bomb Group for connecting us with the Egan family, the 100th Bomb Group Foundation, the Egan girls, the entire Egan family, Katie and Annie and their children and their grandchildren. Thank you for allowing us to share your mother's story.
Because it's so special.
And your father's story, essentially.
We love talking about it.
But we love talking about these things, and we feel that any one woman who might not have her story told properly deserves a fair shot at it, because she's not here anymore to do that.
Yeah.
So
I'm really happy that we get to be the ones to do it.
I'm really happy that we get to be somebody who opens a door for somebody else to continue researching.
They get to dig a hole, make it a rabbit hole, and fall down it like we have. Come join
As Cara likes to say, pull on that thread.
Pull on the thread.
Pull on that thread.
Absolutely.
So thank you everybody for joining us. We had a wonderful time today. A video episode for you without a guest. Just us. But
what a treat. What a treat for the eyes.
We are exceptionally thankful for all of you that keep tuning in and keep listening and keep watching. You guys make us want to keep sharing history.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
thank you again, guys.
Until next time, happy Women's History Month.
Yes. Thank you for celebrating along with us.
Thank you for celebrating along with us. And we will catch you all very soon.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, you're very, very welcome.
Okay. And you look marvelous.
I do?
Yes.
What are you doing? Peeking?